Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm really happy today to be speaking with Dr. Ceara Deno, who is a JAI certified parenting coach. Ceara, to begin, will you share a little bit about the work that you're doing?
I would love to, Kiva. Thank you. So I'm Ceara Deno. My business is Sweet Spot Parent Coaching. I help thoughtful parents to have more peace and harmony in their home and to connect with their sensitive or intense child so that they have a close, loving relationship and parents can enjoy parenting, which is my real goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we only have them for such a short time, it feels like. And of course, we want to enjoy it. And I think there's such pervasive ideas in the world that parenting is hard, that it's a struggle, that, kids are the problem. What about that doesn't resonate for you?
Mm, yeah, so right. So I think to me, when we put the relationship with our child first, it allows us to let that other stuff go, right? So there's a lot of chaos, pressure, stresses as a parent. But when you're remembering that your deepest goal is to connect with and appreciate and love your child, then kind of the hard, parenting is hard melts away
Mm,
because those like little stressors feel smaller and
yes,
we really focus on what's important.
1,000%. I know it's hard to do that in practice, though. There's so much pressure, I think, for parents, especially today, to, push achievement or push good behavior. How does that impact the long-term relationship between parent and child?
Mm, yeah. So, right, as parents, we want so much for our kids, and I think that pressure gets us into like a fear cycle where we are reactive, right? We are parenting from fear, and it prevents us from being present, from enjoying the moment, from connecting with who our kid really is, and so. I so identify with that fear, right? I get that too, obviously, and um, and it's not a comfortable place to be. No one wants to be there, uh, and your kid's gonna pick up on it, right? So, like when I'm fearful, my kid's gonna pick up on that stress, and then like it's gonna escalate. So, yeah,
100%.
so it's really rough.
So I know your real job is as a neonatal pediatrician. I'd love to hear your perspective as a pediatrician as to why parent coaching is such an important piece of the whole support available to families.
Yeah, right. So my first job was is a pediatrician. I specifically take care of newborns. And I think it's so fascinating, right? We come from families, inherit certain things from our family of origin, and some of those are really wonderful things we want to recreate in our own families. And some of them are things that we don't want to recreate. And so this idea that we can be really thoughtful and intentional, like what about my childhood do I want to bring into my own family? What about my partner, if I have one? What about their childhood do I want to kind of keep going? And then what do we want to create of our own, right? Like what's really important to me? So I love this idea that we can be really thoughtful about how we want our family to look. It doesn't have to look like our childhood. In fact, it couldn't even if it wanted to, right? Because the world's changed so much, right? And I'm a divorced mama, so I have a co-parent. But how do I bring that together with the two households? Different values, perhaps. But yeah, just this idea that we as parents can be really kind of thoughtful about what do we want to teach our children, what is most important to us, and then kind of the parent coaching is both like this warm hug of helping us get there and also a little bit of like a push, right, of like what's not working for you, let's do the work
Change it.
together, let's make it better, right.
I love that so much because one of the things that just gets my goat, I have to say, is well-meaning, well-intentioned parents complaining about their children and their children's behavior. And yet, because maybe they don't know that it's possible, doing the work to shift their own or change things in the support of the change that they're asking of children, it just rubs me all the ways. But I think that this is a very new idea that, wait a second, if parents shift, then by and large, children's behavior, of course, will follow along. They're in many ways modeling. What happens for a child when the environment with mom or dad changes?
Right. Yeah. So I was just talking to a client before this call about this exact thing, right? So the client was noticing that the really positive changes she's been working on, her child is reflecting back to her. And it's like, it was honestly this hallelujah moment that her daughter was doing so the child with her friend was doing these positive behaviors, like with her own peer group. So so and not to be a downer, but when we're reactive and doing behaviors that we are painful and create disconnection, our child models that back to us too. So we can be these really powerful role models in both directions, which is why this work is really valuable and worth doing, because it's so painful to see our child reflect back something that is creating more disconnection. So if we can do the work and create that connection, now our child is empowered and they're doing it with us. So
yeah, and I just had this awareness as you said that of course those are the behaviors from our children that trigger us the most. Like it is the most triggering when they're just simply like being the little reactive littles that we were. Then all of our shame comes up unconsciously and the whole thing just.
Right. The mirror is painful to see, right? That I get it.
Yeah. So what might a family be experiencing in their home that might be a signal to them it's time to reach out to you?
Yep, sure. So, I'm a sensitive person myself. So I work with a lot of sensitive parents, and we tend to be very prone to overstimulation and overwhelm. We tend to have kids who are sensitive. And so what can happen is we're seeing a child who has really intense feelings, and the child is perhaps having some difficulty with new situations, with transitions, with being flexible, right? So we're noticing in our child this kind of intense or sensitive behavior that maybe is a mirror of ourselves when we were a child. So if you are noticing that your child is really intense, is really having some strong feelings, is having trouble, all sorts of different ages is going to look different, but it's both the child who is in distress and the parent wants to help them, as well as the parent who's noticing how easily they're getting overwhelmed, overstimulated, reactive. So I work with a lot of sensitive parents and children, and it's this dynamic where the parent really wants this close, loving relationship, and the child's sensitivity and intensity is getting in the way. And so that's really the group that I love working with. I love working with all parents, but these are kind of the people that, really we resonate together. So
what I've heard from you and just being in your world and hearing you speak about these things is that you give a lot of permission to parents to be in the family they have. Mm-hmm. Is that your awareness too?
Yes, that's beautiful. I have to get that like printed out and put on my wall or something. Yes. So I couldn't have said it better, but yes, absolutely. So I'm kind of a laissez-faire parent. I'll be totally honest. My household is not really big on strict rules. And when I work with parents, I honestly I'm not trying to get you to follow strict rules. I really just want you to have this amazing relationship with your kids. That's really what I want for myself. It's what I want for my clients. And so, the details are really not that critical.
Yeah.
As long as you guys like love each other and want to spend time together, that's really what I care about. That's
Oh,
my
that just gives me chills. It's like what I hear you saying is to not ignore the forest for the trees. And I think that as parents, it's so, you know, it's easy to get caught up in the minutia and the short term and the, you know, getting out the door in the morning. But that we often lose sight of the bigger picture and the viability of the long-term relationship that we hope will last a lifetime. And I just love that you hold that space for people to really not only understand that truth intellectually, but to live it. So good.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yes. It's such a, this work we do is such a privilege, and I adore it. I could talk to parents about their parenting all day, every minute of every day, which I have to stop myself because it's obsessive.
Well, that being
Thank you
said,
for
if
it.
someone's watching and they want to reach out or get in touch, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yep. So my website is sweetspotparenting.com. So my business is Sweet Spot Parenting. And I am also, my email is drkiradeno@gmail.com. So either way, I would love to chat with you. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for bringing this work out into the world, Kira. We're such fans of you here and cheering you on for all the incredible work that you do.
Thank you, Kiva. I love talking to you. It's great.